In the heart of Brittany stands the Château of Trévarez, a belly-pop dream of red brick and slate perched above the Orne Valley. Today it is peaceful, elegant, almost theatrical, but in the summer of 1944 this quiet estate became the stage for one of the most daring and precise airstrikes of the war. A place built for beauty, suddenly caught between the French resistance fighters in the woods, a high-level German naval conference, and a squadron of RAF Mosquitoes crews flying at treetop height. By July, the forests around Trévarez were alive with danger. Marquis fighters and a three-man Jedburgh undercover team codenamed Giles, made up of 3 secret operatives, American, French and British, moved silently through the trees. They carried radios, weapons, and a single mission: make Brittany hostile to the occupiers. A chambermaid whispered a vital clue to a Marquis operative hidden in the rhododendron bushes. A coded message was then sent to London, and suddenly the chateau was no longer just a military rest centre, it was a target. Intelligence confirmed that Admiral Dönitz would meet at the chateau with his top U-boat commanders. And as a bonus, a group of Japanese diplomats, collected from embassies all over occupied Europe, were to overnight on their way to Lorient to be repatriated on a submarine. Early morning on the 23rd of July, RAF Mosquito crews were prepared for a precision attack. Engines were warmed up, bomb loads checked, but one aircraft was declared unserviceable and the mission was abandoned. A missed chance, but not the end of the story. In the following week, the Marquis tightened its net around the chateau. More intelligence arrived from the French staff. 90 U-boat crewmen and naval auxiliaries were to arrive from the submarine base in Brest. They were exhausted, somewhat fatalistic, and more than ready to party and forget the war for a few hours. There was an orchestra, a free bar, some women and girls from the nearby village. The festivities started fairly restrained, but soon there were bawdy songs, drunken arguments, and the order of a petty officer, Tanzen verboten, dancing forbidden, couldn't stop the party descending into chaos. By midnight, the Grand Saloon of Trévarez had become a whirl of alcohol, bravado, and despair. But the end was nearer than they imagined. At 3 a.m. on the 30th of July, Sergeant Gordon Tuck of the Jedburghs climbed to the heights above Saint-Ouen. He carried a wireless set and a Eureka beacon, a device that could guide aircraft to a single point on the map. Hours later, 4 Mosquitoes of 107 Squadron lifted from RAF Lasham in southern England. They crossed the channel at wave-top height, slipped inland through the folds of the Breton Hills, and honed in on Tuck's signal. Inside the chateau, most of the guests were still drunk and asleep. At 8:10, the first Mosquito swept over the treetops. Parishioners in the nearby village of Lars ran from morning mass to watch the aircraft roar overhead. 3 Mosquitoes attacked, 1 stayed back to provide cover, later coming in to strafe the chateau with machine gun fire. 8 bombs fell. 4 detonated instantly, 4 were on delayed fuses, designed to disrupt rescue efforts. The west wing of the chateau collapsed in a cloud of dust and shattered brick. Inside, half-dressed submariners stumbled through darkness, deafened, choking, unable to understand what had happened. And then, a moment the survivors would never forget. A single bed hanging like a swallow's nest from the remains of a wall. A man still asleep in it, too drunk to wake, too lucky to fall. At the direction of the commanding officer, some men found a ladder and rescued the man. In spite of the damage, casualties were surprisingly light. 1 middle-aged naval auxiliary was found dead under the rubble. 2 of the girls from the village were also killed and were temporarily buried on the front lawn of the chateau. Later they would be exhumed and reburied in the local churchyard. A handful were wounded. The U-boat crews limped back to Brest, shaken and silent, a very different group from the bawdy revellers that had arrived the previous day. Even among the Germans there was a grudging respect for the pilots and their Mosquitoes. The precision, the daring, the skill required to fly above the trees and precision strike a single wing of a chateau hidden in the woods. Today, the west wing of Trévarez still bears the scars of that morning. The floors were never replaced. Following the attack, the Germans left the chateau for good. Shortly after, they were replaced by a group of the Maquis who used the chateau as a base for the remainder of the war. A reminder that history is not always grand strategy or sweeping armies. Sometimes it's a handful of resistance fighters hiding in rhododendrons, a radio operator guiding aircraft he will never meet, and a mosquito crew flying low enough to touch the trees. A story of precision and chaos, human moments of bravery and absurdity, moments that shape the course of a war.